do yourself a favor, buy fish that are more than 3 centimeters. It might cost you a little bit more on the initial, but you will save more money in the long run because you will suffer less losses. The less fish you kill, the more fish you have, right?
Produced by Malik.
What is going on, world? Welcome back to Aqua Malik. Today is going to be an update video where I have 2 separate things to update you on. Some good news and some bad news. I'll tell you the bad news first. I lost about 20 little baby fish in here yesterday. They were all different types of hype ancestors, and they were all born in the last 3 to 4 days, or this week is essentially, so the week that just passed, the last 7 days. All these fry were born in the last 7 days, and what I've been doing in the last 9-10 months now, and you guys probably know this, is I consolidate all my fry that are born in the same week into the same fry ring, because I have like 5 fry rings, so that way I have 5 weeks on rotation, and then I put all of them into grow out tanks, and that seems to work for me. And I never had any issues with this disease since January of this year. I did suffer some losses in January when these guys first started spawning, and they haven't been any issues since then. I thought I got a handle on it. I thought I knew what was going on. I was putting the bacteria from the parent tank into the baby rings and everything. So all those things had worked, and I've overcome this disease, the side bubble disease. I'll put a link to that video up here somewhere so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I believe it's a bacterial disease where the fish require bacteria from the parent fish, and that's why this happens. Also, it could be other factors. Me and Dr. Thomas have been talking about this quite a bit. So there's nothing conclusive right now, but he also thinks there could be factors with salts and stuff. Dissolved salts in the water, could be the hardness, could be all kinds of factors. But basically what's happening is the fish is having a tough time keeping its yolk solid. So the yolk sac becomes almost like a fluid material, and it starts being, when the fish falls to the side, that's it, because the yolk sac will just become on the side. So what I've had to do in the past when I had this issue in the summertime, I did updates on this on the channel, so check those videos out, is that keeping the fish straight, where the yolk sac is kind of on the ground and the head is kind of pointed down like that. I'll show some b-roll of the fish throughout this area so you guys can see it. Essentially was curing the disease for me, where those fish made it. I had some fry. I even have a little guy that's still doing well. He's growing now, whatever. So I thought I've overcome this problem, but this time it was not anything remotely even close to the 1 or 2 fish dying. This was like all 20 of them got it. There was actually more than 20. Yesterday was very tough for me. I actually did an update on this. I recorded it, but I just couldn't get myself to edit it. I slept most of the evening, and I just after I got off the phone with Dr. Thomas, I just said, you know what, we are not God, so there's a lot of things we don't personally know about these animals. So I think that's what I'm going to leave you with that, is that there's a lot to learn, but it was quite tough for me personally, and so we're trying to do some tests and stuff. I left the living one in here to see if anything happens to it. If it is actually bacteria, it should be dead by now too. But it's not dying. It's, as long as I'm keeping it up straight, it's alive. So I'll put some b-roll footage of him right now. This is more than 24 hours after all the other fish have died. So this is 48 hours since the ordeal started, and everything else seems to be doing well. So the fish in the tank are great. This fry in this fry box, they're doing great. These guys are only a few days older, so I mean, if it is a disease or infection or bacteria or something, these guys should also be infected because they're all sharing the same water, right? So I don't know what's really going on. I don't have the answer to this one. I mean, it's been puzzling me for several years, and I hope this is the only time this happens, and that I, for somehow miraculously, get over this. And I think it will be, because usually I don't have this problem. So I am going to boil this fry ring and clean it up properly this time, and hopefully that cures it. I don't know. So that's that update, and now on to the good news. And I'm sure you guys have been waiting for this for the last 3 days. I'm pretty sure if you watched the previous video where I got new fish, I put a little teaser at the end of the second new fish or the third new fish that I'm getting. So I did get them. I got a group of 5 new zebra plecos. So I'm going to say to you guys a few different things, but first of all I want to say follow my friend Herrera Psychash's channel. I'll put a link to it down below. We're going to do an experiment. We got 10 fish. He's another zebra pleco breeder here in Toronto. Very successful. And he and I got these fish to add to our breeding groups in the future. So this is to increase genetic diversity in our group, so we don't keep breeding brothers and sisters, and our genetic pool becomes weaker and weaker. So we are planning to grow these fish as an experiment, and I'm going to keep mine in a fry box. So they're in a cis breeder box, 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters. We're feeding the same food more or less, and we're also keeping them around the same temperature. So all the parameters, the water quality, we have the same water. We both live pretty close to each other and we share the same lake water. So it's going to be pretty identical, except for the fact that his fish are going to be in a grow out tank and my fish are going to be in a breeder box. So we'll be doing experiments and we'll measure their lengths and growth throughout their life cycle, throughout the next few months or 5 to 6 months, to see if the breeder box has better growth or the tank grow out tank has better growth. So we'll figure that out. So stay tuned for that update and subscribe to this channel as well as his channel and hit those notification icons so you guys get updated when that video as well as many other videos like this get uploaded. So we'll be looking at the fish a little bit, but they're always hiding. I just want to give some information on this, and this is something that I think is important for everybody in the hobby. These fish are highly endangered. They're also very delicate when it comes to like moving, new tanks, getting the fish into your own tank. A lot of things could go wrong. You do not want to buy fish that are less than 1.3 inches or 3 centimeters in total length. Now, as a breeder, I'm going to implore all the breeders out there, if you are an ethical person, do not sell your hypencestrus before they reach an inch or bigger, because these fish cannot do, the person buying them does not have a breeder box ready. The average person buying these fish does not have all these other tools that I would have or my other friend who is a breeder would have to take care of these animals. So what I would want to say is that the average person buying them would not know that they need to be put in a breeder box. They wouldn't have these specific, they would have a tank, probably like the largest tank that they can possibly set up for these zebra plecos that they've already spent money and cycled and all that stuff, and they're picking up fish and they're going to put into a tank that is probably 4 or 5 months old, weeks old maybe potentially. So their fish are not going to do good in that scenario, even if they're adult fish. Now imagine when they're this big, these fish are 0.75 inches. So they're literally between an inch and a 0.75. So they're smaller than an inch, all 5 of them. Okay? And I'm not complaining. I love the fish. I'm very happy with the purchase. We're keeping the fish. We're experienced at this. So like, it's been 48 hours since I've had the fish and I haven't lost any. I've been watching at them every hour, making sure they're eating, like hourly, even throughout the night. I wake up, set an alarm, come up, look at them. Okay, good. 2-3 hours later, I come back and check them again, just to make sure that nothing is going wrong, because this is the time where something could go wrong. If you don't have these additional tools like a breeder box, the fry food, the special fry food that they're being fed, the gel food, the EBO, and all that stuff, and if you don't already have extensive experience keeping zebra plecos, chances are you're probably going to end up killing these 5 fish. So now you're $500 down the hole, and most people quit their hobby at that point. I know so many people have quit their hobby because they've killed their zebra plecos, okay? It's really a situation where I feel like the average person really gets duped into this because they feel like they're going to get a deal when they can get the fish for cheaper when they're smaller, and they think that, okay, they're going to do better for me because I know what I'm doing, right? But reality is none of us really do know what we're doing, and especially when it comes to baby fish, okay? Now I can say, yeah, all 5 of them are alive and it's 48 hours, so yes, thumbs up, but for another week or two, I'm still going to be like not out of the woods yet. I'm still kind of treading muddy or rough waters, So imagine the person that's first time zebra pleco owner. You're just going to go buy 5 fish that are this big. What do you think your odds are? You know what I mean? So really and truly, that's what I want to say. And also for the breeders, you know, you really have to be ethical when it comes down to this. These animals are quite rare. Even these other hype ancestors, I'm probably one of the only people that are breeding most of these other hype ancestors here in Toronto. And the L199, for example, I don't know anybody else in Toronto that's breeding them. I know one person in Western Canada that's breeding the L471s, and that's about it. You know, these fish are quite valuable. Their fry are quite valuable, and they don't become available. The L471s haven't been available this whole year since probably in the beginning of the year when they first came into the market. When I got a couple of the smaller guys in here. Since then, my friend hasn't gotten any, and he's the only one bringing these fish in right now. So we don't have any. They're off season, I guess, whatever, right? So you don't want your fry to be dying because they're very small amount of them anyways. I mean, I'm not trying to badmouth any of the breeders or the person I got the fish from. Quite ethical, I believe, and they're quite healthy. He's a very successful breeder. You know, we talked about this, me and my other friend, and we were like, yeah, you know, the fish are really healthy. This guy really knew what he was doing. So in our case, it worked out great. But on the average person's case, imagine you bring the fish home, you put them into the tank, and they disappear into your tank. This big. You're never gonna see them again, most likely. You know, and if you're lucky, you might see one or two back. You know, because you had to target feed them at that size. They're not gonna go out and find food, especially in a large environment. They're just gonna go hide. So you put some food in the tank, the other fish eat it, gone. The fish, you're not gonna see them again. And especially if you have a little bit bigger fish, you're gonna feed them these $100 little snacks. You know, or flush them down the toilet. So that's what I really want to reiterate over and over, I think, is that when you're buying fish, please do yourself a favor, buy fish that are more than 3 centimeters. It might cost you a little bit more on the initial, but you will save more money in the long run because you will suffer less losses. The less fish you kill, the more fish you have, right? So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. And as always, thank you so much for watching the video. I love you all. I'll see you on the next video. God bless you all.